Hey guys, Dr. Rodney here with APTG Chiropractic. Today we're seeing a lot of patients in the office that are back out golfing, back playing softball, kickball, and things of that nature. And I'm seeing a lot of re-injuries, and so today I want to take the time to talk to you about static stretching versus dynamic stretching, what you do before you work out, what you do after, and why you do them both respectively. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the do's. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're going to go out and you're going to work out, that the first thing that you're doing is warming up. So you're not going to go out and hop in your car on a nice Michigan winter day and try to drive it as fast as you can. Usually, most of us, if you're like myself, we like to warm it up and specifically by using a remote start. Our body isn't that way, so we want to talk about dynamic stretch and dynamic movements that allow your body to warm up. So for myself, I think back about the years that I played soccer, and the number one thing that we did was we started off our practices by doing high knees, followed by jumping jacks or karaoke or bounding exercises. And all these different exercises allow you to warm up the tank, warm up the body, and get pretty good movement in there. And that in itself is a really good way to start the body and allow it to warm up. This allows the muscles to start firing, they start figuring out how to operate again, because most of us, if you're like myself, which I'm I guess a little bit atypical, but I'll say I'm like everyone else, and that I sit for about 40% of my day. So I'm in this position here, and I'm just hanging out, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna decide that I need to get up and I'm gonna go play X, Y, and Z, or I'm gonna go golf. And a lot of the times that transition isn't as smooth as we want to see. So the do's for warming up consist of dynamic movements, and moving yourself through some different exercises to allow yourself to warm up. Now the next part, which I don't want to say is more important than the beginning, is the end. And that's how you plan to choose after you work out, after you play golf, kickball, run, whatever your sport or your poison you choose, whatever you do, you want to make sure that you stretch afterwards. And if you're at this point saying, well, doc, I'm not going to go through and do those exercises to start with because I don't want to look foolish. There's nothing more foolish than skipping a workout than saying that you can't do what you love because you're getting old. And that's really that you chose not to warm up and you hurt yourself. So let's not do that. Let's make sure that we're wise about that. So now that you've warmed up and you are going out and you are, you've enjoyed your excursion or your sport, let's talk about making sure that you cool down. Cooling down is very unique. We're going to use static stretching. So static stretching is what we used to always do in the beginning, and that's where you bend down and you try to touch your toes. That's important because at this phase of a workout, you've caused some muscle damage, you've caused some damage to the body itself, and the static stretching allows us to reorganize some of that muscle tissue and reorganize some of the fibers so that the inflammation that occurs from muscle damage isn't overbearing. We've all done too much and been sore the day after. This will help reverse that a little bit, but here's some tips that you want to take away from that. First thing first, if you're gonna stretch and you bend down to touch your toes and maybe you're doing a hamstring stretch, if you've got a deep stretch in there, don't go past 15 seconds. Count 1,000, 2 1,000, all the way up to 15. If you go past 15, the research shows that increase in time stretching causes a loss of blood supply to the area, which that is called hypoxia, and that actually causes more irritation to the cell, and you actually don't get a lot to it, and so you can feel more sore afterwards. Do make sure that if you're gonna stretch, you don't do this, oh yeah, I'm stretching, I can almost touch my toes. Make sure that you close that loop, so you bend all the way down, you're touching your toes, you're getting to the end range. That allows you to get about 5% more flexibility afterwards, and that helps with the nice recovery. Also make sure that if you're a person who wears heels, women out there, men who wear an elevated sole in the base of their shoe, and again, it doesn't have to be a lot, it can only be an inch or so. People that are sitting at their desk a lot, you want to be conscious to stretch those muscles before you go out a little bit too. You also want to make sure that when you get done stretching, that you walk around, you're a little bit more mobile afterwards. And last but not least, if you're going to go out and stretch and do all these different things, make sure that you continue to breathe. Don't hold your breath. Don't say, oh, this is going to hurt, so, and you bend down and you stop breathing, because that, again, remember, stretching for longer than 15 seconds causes hypoxia. Now you're in a situation where you're choosing to be hypoxic because you're not breathing. So, the do's of stretching: do use a dynamic stretch before you warm up. When you're warming up, make sure you're moving. If you think you look foolish, the only thing more foolish than not doing a dynamic stretch is saying that you're old and you hurt yourself, and that's why you can't do what you love. 2, make sure that when you're done working out, make sure that you're stretching. Make sure you're using a static stretch. Make sure that you use traction or close the chain. So I get to flex forward here and I'm pushing down with my arms and I'm touching the floor. If you can't touch the floor, touch your legs. That allows you to close the chain. Make sure that you're breathing. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold a stretch longer than 15 seconds. And for anyone who has muscle aches, specifically in the lower back or has low back issues, do not stretch first thing in the morning. Get up, get active, and allow the back to settle down a little bit. So with all that being said, if you're receiving this from a loved one or a coworker, please know that there's some stretches attached to this to keep you out of trouble. Otherwise, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to give the office a call. And again, Dr. Rodney here with A Place to Grow Chiropractic, where we're planting seeds of health. Thank you.